probably turn off my phone. Just in case. Dice here. All right. We're not
good. Dice.
We're good. We're good.
We good.
Dice.
I just haven't got my equipment. No, we good.
No. Yeah, good. All right. Jamie, everything for you? All good? Drinks?
All
dice?
good.
Jamie's a professional. He's ready.
I have not only coordinated my dice, but they're all in the same color order, just given the size of the dice too. Like, I've gone all out with this.
Show off.
Aren't you fancy?
Nah, it was just I got a little bit bored, and I did it in like 2 minutes.
Good.
Right. We are live, by the way.
You are live? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Right, so we waiting for people, or are we just kicking it off?
Oh shit, do you know what I should do? Potentially to let people know we're live. I should probably like tweet or something.
Twirt it.
You know, that would help. That would definitely help. You're good. Don't worry. Just say going live, quantum leapening. You'll be fine. Don't even need to put my name on it. It's technically not my idea anyway. I scalped this from like a Tumblr post. Oh no, this is being recorded. Don't sue me.
Someone say something. There's so much dead air. Stop. Dead air. Give me dead air. I don't want it. Okay, that's right.
Every onomatopoeia in descending order.
Tweet is done. I'm done. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks for coming out. Okay. Can probably shorten a few of these and modify that. Yeah, we'll be fine. Special one shot. Very special one shot. Well, I cannot see chat, but I welcome whoever is going to come and witness this. Whatever.
Witness me.
Yes, hello, whoever's here, if anyone. I thank you for coming out tonight and joining all of us. Go ahead and give yourselves a little bit of an introduction. I'm sure you already know Susie pretty well, but yeah, plug yourself. Tell us what you've got going on. How is your day? Water good?
My day is great. I woke up. I existed for a little while, and now I'm here.
All right, fantastic. It's always good to exist in very short bursts.
Yeah. You need to break up the existence every so often.
The monotony can get a little grating, especially.
A good way to divide between the times where you exist is to go to sleep. That really helps come to grips with existence.
Yeah.
That got a lot deeper than I was expecting it to.
Yeah, what?
I don't understand where my mind is going.
Wholesale denial of existence. Also very bad. Anyway. But for those of you who aren't in the know, this is kind of a strange format that I've stumbled across. Hello, by the way. My name is Jason Catrone. I'm a DM of many talents, I'm told. And I have at least a passable voice. I don't know what that means, but, well, the day has been kind of long. However, glad you've been able to come visit us and join us in the Quantum Leap one-shot. Now, those of you not, I suppose, in the know concerning this format, the main premise would be that the DM exercises creative control over not only the story, but the characters themselves. These two have politely and so graciously volunteered their trust in me. So I have gone ahead and, with the help of a very helpful application, rolled up a couple of characters that they will be taking over via some story conceit that I came up with probably a couple of days ago. However, they will not be aware of the characters that they are playing. Throughout the course of this session, I will require them to make certain checks to investigate certain bits of information, not only about their characters, but their place in the story. If you've ever seen Quantum Leap, you understand kind of the basic premise. Thrust into an unfamiliar situation, you have to figure out how to address whatever's in front of you and how you fit in the entire length of the story. I've probably rambled enough right now, so if you don't get the premise, I'm sure it will make itself evident. If there's no objections, are we ready to begin?
Let's do it.
Yes.
All right.
There's objections.
There's a one yes.
Yes, you're ready
and
to
I
begin.
think that Susie is muted.
So here's the thing, right? I wasn't muted
the mute
to stream.
button.
I was
you
just
weren't
muted to
muted
you
to
guys.
stream.
I see.
Okay.
So yeah. I could...
Okay.
Hey, man.
Hi.
You can't be mean to me. I got hit by a car last week.
Exactly. I have to be nice. At least for the next minute or so. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get some mood music going on in here. Let me test out the levels of volume. We could have probably done this before we went live, but, we'll figure it out. Aha. Beginning.
Music.
The storyteller stands behind a counter. Their eyes trace your steps as you walk into his store. Ah, you've arrived. Was worried we'd have to close without you. The smooth tones of his voice fill the room, and you settle into your chairs. They smirk and clap their hands lightly. Within moments, your senses become dull, the room darkens, and your tale is unveiled. Our story begins. Let's see. This one as well would be very much appreciated. There's no more running from this. We fight or we fall. Jamie, this phrase echoes in the caverns of your mind. You're hearing twists and turns with the tide of the distant sea. Although, taking a moment, you hear that it bellows barely a stone's throw away from the remnants of... You pause. Your thoughts scrambled. Your base? Your home? Regardless, your eyes adjust to the smoke-choked light that cascades around you. You try and gain your bearings as best you can. And then names float to the surface. The Dawn's children. Your allies. Your friends. You've been attacked? That much is clear with the distant sounds of battle that now come flooding through the rubble that you find yourself in. How long have you been here? What's happening? How are you? Another shockwave tears through the air. distant sound of a rocket explodes into your ears as an explosion rockets above. Jamie, I need you to roll a strength saving.
Okay.
Susan, I need you to roll a dexterity saving throw.
Oh boy.
Tell me the result.
I got a 14.
All right, 14. And what did you roll, Susie?
I got 13.
13. Right. So, we'll go ahead and settle these separately. Jamie, your breathing grows heavy as the rubble comes to crush all senses save pain. Thankfully, your resilience strengthens your resolve. You only take 3 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
Again, your vision fades and blurs and contorts with the rumble of the cliffside. But then, Susie, your eyes narrow on the dwarf that has just fled before you. Rubble cascades from the sea cliffs above, knocked ajar by another hellish rocket. How many has that been? Regardless, the longbow's string digs into your tender flesh. The arrow settled snugly between your fingers. A voice, battle-worn and confused, growls at you, almost. What are you waiting for? Shoot the bastard! I'd like you to roll for attack.
Oh shit. That's a natural one.
Really?
Really?
You are starting off brilliantly. Unfortunately, the growl... I don't think I even need to look up... Yeah, the growl, unfortunately, throws your senses off. The arrow scatters and splinters across the soldiers' crag iron armor as they scuttle away. Shortly after, you feel a clawed hand pull at your shoulder. A robed red dragonborn comes into view, his eyes alight with a brilliant blue. He snarls into your ear, pushing past you very roughly. And as the blue intensifies to a bright neon iridescence, a streak of lightning courses from one of the many rings on his fingers into the back of the fleeing fire-forged. The dragonborn lets out a feral roar as the dwarf stumbles down the mountain path, finally falling dead amongst a few piles of rubble. You get the feeling you really don't want to look behind you. Rowan, you pause and look to him. The name just came into your mind. But you do know something. Rowan has never been clean when it comes to battle. Again, heavy breathing sort of settles into his form. His shoulders hunch over. Just a bit further, Anemone. Always just a bit further. A single streak of blood trickles down his forehead as the distant sounds of battle continue to ring. He marches forth down the mountain path. What do you do?
Follow him, I guess. Go after him.
Right? Situating the longbow still out or across your back?
I would still have it out, I guess, because if we're in the middle of an active battle, I want to be ready.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, slowing your step a little bit, diligently following him, you see him sort of lord over the dwarven corpse. He stomps on it with his bare feet, the claws of his foot sort of digging into the iron armor. It doesn't really dig as much as scrape across it, and he sort of reviles back. He breathes very, very frustratedly. At this point, Jamie, I need you to roll a perception check, please.
10.
10. Okay. Shaking off the initial shock of your ordeal with this pile of rubble that you seem to be buried under, you hear a loud clunk as something metal hits the ground. A few seconds later, a familiar roar echoes against the cliff and around you, intensified by the granite and marble that is currently encasing you. Even from beneath the rubble, you can definitely tell Rowan is having an exceedingly bad day.
And that was the Dragonbone.
That was the, well, I'd like you to go ahead and roll an intelligence check, please.
Right, okay. That's a 4.
Hey, we're good at this, Jamie.
Yeah.
It's so good. You sort of recall his visage. It's very, very faint, but you get the sense that a Dragonborn is the only thing that could have made that roar.
Right.
And you know the name Rowan. You just don't know the connection quite yet.
Right.
So, Anemone. Rowan looks around to the few disparate piles of rubble gathered around the cliffside. You see about 4 piles that have sort of congregated. Looking down the mountain path, you see a few shattered huts or bridge paths. It's very... The landscape here is very unfamiliar, and yet you can sort of define it. Maybe it's a bit confusing, but Rowan begins to sort of sniff around and claw at rocks and rubble and cast them aside as best he can.
So, is there like a point that I can definitely see that we're heading towards, or are we just moving?
Go ahead and roll a history check.
9.
With this one will be with advantage.
Hey.
For reasons that I'm sure.
Pity.
No. There's a reason.
Okay, that one's 18.
18, much better. So, with that, you sort of still your mind. What was the specific question? Is there a point that you can see that you definitely want?
Yeah, is there something
to go down?
Like we're heading towards? Is there like, I don't know, a banner or like a building or something, that we're moving towards? So.
Sure. Well, the scattered buildings that you see sort of dashed by rubble that has descended from the cliffs, you do know that to be a portion of the barracks, you think it was? The Dawn's Children are a very disparate organization. All freedom fighters must have, the ability to be highly mobile. Rowan, however, during the initial attack, however long ago that was, said that you had to find Petunia. The name is familiar. You sort of get you get the outline of a face, sort of various series of ellipticals that may sort of imitate a face, but you don't quite remember who this is. If you wish to find out, more rolls will be required. But Rowan, regardless, seems to be ignoring you as he pushes past one row of rock. You see him kind of snarl as he sighs. His body sort of towers over it, so you can't really see what he's found, but he looks a little disheartened.
I'll peek around him to see what it is.
Unfortunately, it seems to be the corpse of someone. The head is smashed, the body broken. It's not a pretty sight, and definitely not something you're accustomed to. However, you see Rowan kind of take its hand and pull off the glove that's on it. He looks and breathes almost a sigh of relief as he moves to another pile of rubble.
Okay. I'll help him clear the rubble then. And I'll ask him what he's looking for.
Okay, how do you ask him as you go next to him and he throws aside a cast of it?
What are we looking for?
Make an athletics check
Oh,
as you help him with the rubble.
Make an athletics check because he pounds you into the rubble.
No.
19.
Okay. He looks to you. I've been told your kind have short memories, but he shakes his head. Petunia.
Oh, sorry, must have hit my head somewhere. But
battle scatters the thoughts.
So, remind me, what was Petunia look like? You know, race, kind of identifying features.
Make a persuasion check with disadvantage.
Oh no!
Simultaneously, Clover, as you are buried under rubble, I need you to roll another perception check.
Okay.
That was 11.
That was 16.
Okay, so Clover, you still yourself, your eyes sort of peer out through the cracks of rubble that you sort of can see through, and through it you see two familiar figures, Rowan and Anemone, which is good. You've been needing to find a friendly face, or at least a face that you can associate with the Dawn's children.
Right. I try and get out of the rubble as much as possible.
Roll an athletics check, please.
Okay.
With disadvantage as you're sort of buried under rubble and trying to sort of burst out. You don't know how much there is. As you ask this question, Anemone, Rowan kind of incredulously looks at you. His eyes sort of narrow. They're a very goldenrod color as they sort of scan your features. As he recognizes you're absolutely truthful in your not knowing of, or not remembrance of, who Petunia is. One of our founders, a drow, a woman, usually seen with one of my kind, Birch. They were last seen around here. At least from what I've been able to tell.
Right, okay. When he said, your kind, do I have any, like, noticeable, like, race identifying features? Am I scaly? Am I short with big feet? Do I have a beard?
This will require just a general intelligence check. Just a general intelligence check.
That's a 14.
Okay. It doesn't really hit you immediately, but you sort of relent. The moving of the rocks is very arduous and tedious. You take a webbed hand across your eyes and sort of rub it as best you can. You have a webbed hand. Features mainly bluish green and purple. Scaly would be a word to describe it, but not in the terms of dragon scale. In terms of fish scale.
Cool!
You seem to be a triton.
Oh, sick! Fucking
Yes.
trying. Yeah!
Fantastic.
Okay.
The memory of a goldfish. I get it.
Yeah. Clover, what did you get?
I
for your
got an
athletics?
8.
An 8.
Mm.
Okay. Even though you are buried under a pretty substantial amount of rubble, with a 16, your muscles ripple against each other, and you burst forth. Anemone, this surprises you as you look back and see just this supposedly fragile, quote-unquote, human, at least that's what you've been told of surface surfers, burst forth from a pile of granite and marble with no help whatsoever. Clover, you kind of crack your neck and roll your shoulders.
Hi, that hurt. What's going on? And while I'm saying that, can I look at sort of what I'm wearing now that I'm out of the rubble?
As you look, this won't require a roll. As you look, you were a bit caught off guard from the attack, so unfortunately you're not, full regalia, but you have enough to sort of imitate chainmail armor, and you're sort of patting your back. You have to avoid a hilt of a sword?
I see.
Some kind of sword. So you pat your back, you roll your shoulders, you take a deep breath, now free of the rubble. Rowan, upon hearing this, looks to you and smiles. How am I not surprised? He walks over to you and grabs your hand, pulling you from the rest of the rubble and onto solid ground.
Thanks, Rowan. I may have taken a very substantial hit to the head. What's the objective right now?
Finding Petunia is all that matters. If we don't have our founder, we have nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. He reaches into his bag and fishes around for a minute. He pulls out this red, sticky substance contained within a glass bottle and hands it to you.
Nice. Am I to assume what I'm assuming that is?
Yes, you can certainly assume. You can certainly assume if you wish. However, he looks to you, Anemone, and kind of sighs a little bit, looking to the sole patch of rubble that remains.
You never know, big guy. She might not be in the rubble. She could be safe.
All the reports that I've gathered from scrying say otherwise. He cracks his knuckles and fingers and begins to dig as best he can. The wear and tear of his muscles begins to show. So it's not as effective. He's going a bit more slowly and more deliberately. You see, again, this sort of trickle of blood continue to pour forth.
I whistle at Clover. I go, muscles! Help, Ron.
That's not my name, I think. And, yeah, I check the cut. Is there anything that I can discern from this wound?
Go ahead and make an intelligence check, just in general again. And do this with advantage.
Ooh, that's good because I have a 19 for the first roll.
Yo.
Hey.
And an 18 for the second.
Hey. All right. The attack, it came in the morning. It was much worse than y'all ever could have anticipated. And yet, given everything, couldn't be too terrible.
Right.
Rowan looks like he's come either from the other side of the island or somewhere within the stronghold. But he doesn't look torn and, absolutely wasting away.
Right. So it looks like he's still pretty fit. Like, it's not going to be a hindrance, right?
Yeah. Same with Anemone, as she sort of orders you to help.
Something fishy's going on here.
Hey.
Sorry.
No worries.
So what's the scene like now that I'm out of the rubble? We're helping clear the rubble away from a dead body currently, or is it blocking the path?
No, there's a different pile of rubble that Rowan is sort of searching very desperately. His clawed hands sort of dig into the rock, and it cascades behind him. Looking around, though, there's coastal forest thicket that sort of sporadically descends down a sheer cliff face that you're situated on. Looking up the path, you see where Rowan came from, obviously by the many beheaded and charred corpses of various fire-forged. The name comes, the name goes, but you look down the path and again see sort of a smashed hut and barracks. It's bad.
Right.
You've been prepping for this, and still, this is something else. Regardless, are you helping with the rubble, or what are you doing?
I'll help with the rubble.
Go ahead and roll an athletics check for me, please.
While they're doing that, I want to just scout around and see if there's any other signs that she might not be under the rubble.
Perception check, please.
That was a 12 on athletics.
Still, even though your muscles are a bit cramped and it's hard to shake it off, nonetheless, you quite easily dig through the rubble. Oh yeah, with a 21, yeah. So even though you are more diminutive than Rowan, you easily help him sort of navigate and pull away rock from rock. Though he is a dragonborn, sorcerers are not known for their strength. Like it matters.
See? Muscles.
I mean, yeah.
I got a 17 for perception.
17 for perception.
Jamie,
Your
which way to
eyes-
the beach?
Well, it's either that way, or there's a really nice scenic route that way.
Sorry, Jason.
Rowan growls a little bit, psychically understanding this conversation is taking place. With a 17 for perception, you say? All right. The distant sounds of battle grow ever closer. As you sort of still yourself, again you hear a familiar sound.
Uh-oh.
Tearing forth onto the island.
Doc! Get down!
As soon as you say, Doc, get down! You hear an explosion off in the distance. You don't know exactly what they were hitting, but it must have caused some damage. There's a rumble to the whole floor. Rowan seizes up for a minute, calms himself, and continues to dig. All right. Anything else anyone wants to do?
Are there any enemy combatants nearby that I can see?
With a 17, you sort of peer into the lands themselves, and indeed you do see a few figures. Fortunately, Crag Iron Armor is not that stealthy and very cumbersome, so you see them sort of trying to ascend the mountain path, but unfortunately they seem to have run from the battles, so they're a bit tired, a bit haggard, and very sloppy. And not only that, but the path that they're taking, you trace it along and see that the bridge that they would have to use to get to approximately where you are is broken. So you seem to be safe for now.
Okay. Are they within my range?
Let me go ahead and see. Longbow has a range of, let me get this right. Hang on. Longbow has a range of 600 feet. These are probably about 1,000 feet away from y'all.
No.
And still you see it sort of. You're able to keep on an eye. If they make it to the bridge, then they'll be in range.
Okay.
But they have to get there first.
Alright. I'll keep an eye. I'll make sure that we're not in danger of anyone sneaking up on us while these two are clearing the rubble.
Sure. Luckily, you seem to be in no immediate danger as the battle continues to rage on in the distance. Jamie, your hand sort of clasps down in the rock and you throw it aside, and immediately in front of you, you see. You kind of tilt your head to the side very quizzically as you see what looks like a bit of leather and cloth kind of scattered in here. It shifts slightly as you notice the leg of somebody twitch and sort of kick at the rubble around them. Rowan takes this as an opportunity to tear at the rest of the rubble as best he can. Unfortunately, he loses his footing and kind of slips down one of the rocks that he had one of the rocks that he had just dislodged actually rams itself into the wound that he had. He kind of growls and plants a fist into the ground. Nothing, though. But there seems to be somebody alive here.
And Rowan clearly noticed that. That's why he tried to scramble to help.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll focus on, instead of just pulling the body out, like, try to loosen the rubble around them.
Okay.
Because I'd rather make sure that they can get out than drag them if they're really caught.
Sure. So, need you to roll one more athletics check. Anemone, is there anything else you want to do while you're sort of at the mercy of time?
7. Sorry.
No worries.
Not really, because I've checked to see if there's any other signs of Petunia. I've checked to see if we're being attacked on.
Yeah.
Nah, basically, I just keep an eye out. And if they need help moving stuff, I'll do that.
Yeah.
As well.
In terms of signs of Petunia, you see scattered footprints and such, but none that would indicate specifically a drow's footstep. You carefully begin to dislodge the rubble, Clover, as you look to Rowan, who's still kind of nursing the wound and doing what he can with the remainders. But shooting up from the rubble after you remove it is another dragonborn. A blue dragonborn who breathes in very deeply. And in their arms is another. I need you to roll a history check.
13.
Okay. Petunia, as this happens, you see your head sort of jerks to the side unceremoniously, as it's very noticeable when a blue dragonborn pops out from rubble and gasps very loudly and very greedily. I need you to roll an intelligence check as well.
9.
With advantage for both of you, technically. So go ahead.
Still 9.
Yeah. I'm not going to take that too.
That's okay. No worries. That's still close enough. The DCs on these are very, very low.
Good.
This broken form that lays beside the blue dragonborn, Birch. You saw her not even this past evening. She stood amidst an assembly of the children. Everyone was there, prepared and waiting for this. But this you can't even recall. But oh, how Petunia spoke. Filled your chest with vigor. as the silver strands of hair fell across her ebon face, her voice loud and boisterous. Bravado was her character whenever she proselytized to you, the Dawn's children. Come what may, when those iron ships hammer our shores, we must stand as one. A cheer resounds and subsides. Rowan, Honeycomb, and Clover have tirelessly coordinated every resource we could muster. Captain Marigold as well, lest we forget the value of a pirate's treachery. A few chuckles scatter amongst the crowd. And the crab tamers, so diligent in their work, have well informed our defenses. For that, we thank you. She points to Anemone, the lone Triton standing in your midst, longbow in hand, clasped next to her, who took the first step to join the surface circles, strange though our beliefs may be. A silent nod of acceptance is exchanged before the final stanza. She looks over all of you with a sort of quiet restraint. They will batter our door down and scatter our remains if we give them the chance. Many a disagreement is yet to be decided on the eve of this, our first true battle. But when war dares come to us, we must meet it on our terms. We've given so much to the cause of freedom and justice. And Obadiah and this Confederate League of Dwarven lawgivers be damned. His ilk have done so much to harm us. In Pelor's name, there is no running from this. We fight or we fall. Invigorated, the crowd bursts into cheers. The crowd disperses. The energy sap laid down. The next horns blare. Room shifts. Panic, confusion, fire, and crumbling floors. A long fall followed by a hard landing. Darkness encroached by blasted fragments of granite and marble. Once again in the distance dispersed. Until a dwarf's corpse reunites Petunia with her ilk. She lays on the floor, bleeding heavily from her head. Birch grasps her very closely and very greedily, whispering to her. Light emanates from their hand and falls across the silver strands, mottled and dirty though they be. Petunia lies very silent and very still, though she is alive. Rowan kind of looks distraught for a moment and immediately scrambles to meet them. A potion at the ready, he uncorks it and pours it down her throat. The wound begins to suture and heal. Breath begins to return to Petunia. And the two of you are standing there. Anemone, I need you to roll a perception check.
7. I'm putting this dice away. Quartz dice, you're going away. Goodbye.
7, you said?
7.
7! That's a lucky number, usually.
Big 7.
A big 7. Ooh, boy. Well, still, with a 13, that's not too bad. So, your eyes sort of tear away from the scene of panic and over to that group that you saw. The 4. A few lone soldiers armed with heavy crossbows and swords across their back, swords across their plated armor, make their way to the bridge and they sort of snarl at each other. One of them seems to be signaled out and he's sort of beat up. His crash comes across his face as they seem to argue very loudly. I need you to go ahead and, well, let's see, with a perception check. Unfortunately, you don't know any Dwarvish, so the words mean nothing to you. However, nonetheless, you sort of look out and see them argue. They don't seem to have noticed you yet.
How far away are they?
About 300 feet, maybe more.
I'm gonna do a very stupid thing. I'm gonna tell everyone to be quiet. I'm gonna sneak up and I'm gonna shoot one of them.
Okay. Now, basically the way it is that they're situated further down the path toward the ruined hut.
Right.
There's a bit of a crest. The bridge that they are at is broken. So as far as you know, they have no way of getting across.
Yeah, but they're destroying everything. They must die. How many arrows do I have, actually? I'm going to check how many arrows I have in my quiver before I waste one.
You look and see it's a very strange quiver, and it's about the size... It's comparable in size to your conch. Your conch is probably a little bit smaller. But you see the quiver, and it's full to the brim with arrows. So
no, I can just shoot one of them then. So they know that death lies this way, in theory.
In theory, go ahead and roll. Just straight up attack roll. What do you say to the group as you take a pot shot?
I'm like, shh.
Rowan kind of looks and sees the group. Do it quietly as best you can. He goes back to shut up. He goes back to Petunia, ignoring you.
But I rolled a 19.
Okay, let's see here. Need to pull this out. All right. So, as you do this, let's see here. Come on. Yeah, that'll do. 19, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, as you draw the bowstring back and let loose, the arrow itself slams into one of the openings of the armor, is cementing it into the shoulder. I need you to go ahead and roll a d8 for damage, please.
7.
7! All right. Sinking into the shoulder of this dwarf, you hear a sort of mottled yell as it shrieks in pain. It drops its heavy crossbow, and unfortunately it tumbles off the cliffside. The other three look to you very curiously, snarl, raise their crossbows at the glaringly obvious Triton standing down the path.
I stand there going with my webbed fingers, fuck off!
Let's see, that's 8 with your AC being, let's see, 15, so 8 plus 6 is just shy.
Oh. Why is he so?
One goes slightly over your head. Unfortunately, the next one does find one of the hands that you held up so gloriously. Dealing with it. Oh boy. 8 points of piercing damage.
Ooh, that stings.
Yes, it does. 8 points of piercing damage.
Hey, a quick question.
Yeah?
What level are we?
You don't know.
Oh, shit.
The other one, however, spirals off in another direction. not even coming close to you. They sort of rattle their fist at you and prepare for another volley.
Okay. I'm gonna shoot again, and then try and hide behind something before they shoot me.
Sure. Go ahead and roll an attack, please.
Oh, natural 20!
Okay, so you do... this is against which one?
The one I hit the first time, he's still up, right? But his
Yeah, he's
crossbow's down. It fell off a cliff.
Yeah, it fell off a cliff.
Okay, so I'll go for one of the other guys that's shooting at me.
Sure.
That's still armed. So are we doing rolling one dice and doubling it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that is 10.
10. Okay, the arrow slams into sort of the underarm of one of these bandits. It unfortunately digs a little too deep, and he can't really lift the crossbow as much as he can. These Fireforged are supposed to be the best that the dwarves can offer, and yet, well, they're not too terrible.
Nope.
However, as you think this, he does manage to get the crossbow up with the help of his friend who recently lost a crossbow, and another volley comes your way.
I said I hid behind something.
Ah, yes, you do. So, you hide behind something?
Like, even if it's like half cover, which gives me like +2 to AC or something, that's, that's fine.
Okay. So, as you do,
I think that's how half cover works.
Unfortunately, two seem to strike you.
Oh, shit.
Actually, 3 seem to strike you as you hide behind cover. These guys are trained professionals, as you can quite clearly see now and feel, as each bolt sort of either digs into or skids across your legs as you run away. That's...
Hey! Make a tactical retreat. Not running away.
I think that was... Yep. 18 points of damage sunk into you from the bolts.
Okay. I'm gonna...
Well, we're not level 1.
No, because I would be very dead.
You are not level 1. However, as you take cover behind the rocks, you feel as though your body could do more? That makes no sense. And yet, make an intelligence check.
There's an untapped potential.
Clover as well.
15.
15.
18.
18, okay. The both of you suddenly realize you're not magic users, healers, or anything. You're built for this. You are both champions. Specifically, level 9 champion.
Hey!
As such, you crit on a 19. You can make 2 attacks per turn. You gain half your proficiency bonus on strength, dex, and constitution checks that you are not proficient in, and jump strength modifier feat farther, and you can re-roll a failed save once per day.
Dope.
Interesting.
Furthermore, Anemone, you recognize that the bow fits in your hands perfectly. This was designed for you. You have trained with this bow for very long. Style is archery. You gain +2 to attack with ranged weapons. And Clover, a sword strapped behind your back? Oh, that must be your great sword. As you are proficient in great weapon fighting. You reroll 1s and 2s on 2-handed melee weapon damage dice.
Nice.
I just like to imagine that Jamie's just like goes to scratch his back and he's like, oh, I remember this.
Oh, this is mine. Exactly. So, the group sort of sees your retreat and takes that as an opportunity to retreat as well, at least for the moment. The skirmish ended now.
Right.
Rowan kind of looks to you and notices you're worse for wear. He grasps within his hand one last potion. Looks to you, throws it your way. Make a dexterity check.
Oh shit. Oh no. 8.
What did you roll? 8. Okay. Oh, well, 12. That's enough. Okay. So you sort of have to juggle it a little bit. He threw it a bit. You take it, pop it open, and it is a potion of healing. So you don't know how strong, but
I'll remove the
something.
bolts before I drink the potion. I want to heal around the bolts. That would suck.
That would be very terrible. So go ahead and roll. What was superior healing again? I think that's like 3d4 or 4d4 or something like that.
It's 4d4, I think, because the standard is 2d4 plus 2. I think 4d4 plus 4 is superior.
Yeah, we'll go with that. 44. You heal 44 hit points plus 4.
Okay, where are all my d4s at? 3.
Actually, with what you're at, go ahead and make it 4d6.
Oh my god.
Yeah, make an intelligence check as you do this.
Intelligence was 16.
16. Okay. So, all right. Intelligence 16.
I healed 17.
Roll with advantage for that check.
Okay. Yeah, the first one was higher.
All right. As the potion slides down your throat, you feel revitalization, and you thank the waves that you were able to get out of that scruffle. It feels like it's been hours, and yet the morning sun is still rising. You feel a sort of fatigue set into your bones for a moment. Warmed by the potion, it fades very quickly. Stilling yourself, resolving to take things a bit less foolhardily, you glance over to Rowan. You suddenly remember how you carved a way down this path. From the stronghold, you fought like maniacs almost, carving through whatever stood in your way. Storm sorcerers are revered in your culture and feared for a reason. Streaks of lightning, bits of magic that you have not seen on the surface yet, demonstrated as fully as Rowan has. It was very much a fight. And as you sort of look, your wounds, while healed, there are still many that are unfortunately present. You're currently at 48 max, or you are at 48 hit points. You don't know exactly what your max is.
Okay.
Clover, as this moment of respite sort of washes over you, I'd like you to roll an intelligence check as well. With advantage.
Good, because it was a 5. And now it's an 11.
Wonderful. Okay, so with that 12, you kind of still yourself, or wait, no, not with a 12. With hang on. Oh no, with a 12. You kind of recall the night's events. Preparations had been stringent the past few days. You had coordinated with most of them, as best you can, of course. As far as you know, you were just touring the battlements when those rockets came. It was not a pretty sight. But, nevertheless, The fall was worse. You remember cascading down. You don't know who was around you, but apparently Petunia and Birch were touring the battlements as well. You kind of look to your wounds. You've suffered worse. But still, you're at 47 hit points right now. Out of an unknown maximum.
Interesting. How are the rubble people looking at the minute? Are they ready to move?
Petunia, you see, has now sort of gotten to her feet. She breathes very heavily and kind of takes things very slowly. Her step is very unsure, but steadied by Birch. Rowan looks to the two of you and calls you away. Calls you to give them a bit of space.
Okay. Yeah, I happily give them space.
Yeah, same.
Sure. Rowan kind of crosses his arms and looks to the both of you. I've already done much for the Dawn's children. You don't need to do any more. But I implore you. Help, somehow. Clover, you're more well-minded in defense than I. I see a few options. But he looks to Petunia, kind of. A nostalgia sort of washes over him as he grits his fangs and looks back to you. I don't want to leave her alone. Birch, while certainly well-meaning, they can't do this alone. Anemone, I need you to roll an intelligence check.
19.
And Clove, I need you to roll one as well. Roll it with advantage, both of you.
Yep, 19.
19.
16.
Right.
Get wrecked.
Clover,
Meh.
you sort of get his meaning. You were one of the first to coordinate with Captain Lilas Marigold, the captain, the pirate captain who betrayed Obadiah and gave you the information that this attack was coming. But you don't like the subtext. He's basically asking you to leave the fight alone with him. And Anemone, you're kind of confused by this. The whole point of Rowan basically shanghaiing you was to find Petunia. He's found Petunia, but something in his character has shifted. There's a grimness that sort of settles on his features as he sighs and kind of gathers himself. A quarterstaff. He reaches into his bag and pulls out a quarterstaff, gripping at it very tightly.
Well, I mean, given this situation we're currently in, the best way forward is to salvage as much of this as we can. And given that we've quite clearly lost the fight, like, gather what we can and live to fight another day. And you said it yourself. We need to get the leader. We've found the leader.
An
The
excellent
best thing we can
point.
do is make sure that she gets out.
You make sure she gets out.
And what about you?
He shrugs.
That's not an answer.
Nope.
You see his tongue sort of push against his cheek. Clover. cannot solve this problem. You know how that frustrates me. But I can contribute every ounce of power I still have left. Cover your escape, as it were. He sort of looks down, and you hear the distant beach again burst alight with renewed vigor, as you hear once more a rocket rip through the air and crash. He winces and sort of reviles at it. Whatever armament they're testing here cannot leave this island. I can at least ensure that. I invite you to come along, but I don't know how many sorcerers they have. If even one of them is made to the stronghold, there's a blockage that... He winces and kind of grips at the staff tightly. There are two roads we walk. My road leads there. And he points to the beach. To the sounds of battle. Even though you cannot see it, you know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
You can come with me. We can hold them off as best we can and wish Birch the best of luck. With any, well, with a sacrifice, I suppose I could get them to the mazes on the better half of the island, where Marigold is.
And is Marigold the escape plan?
Make an intelligence check.
13.
All right. With, well, again, with advantage. I keep forgetting to say that.
13.
13. Sure. As you ask this question, your mind kind of dissociates for a moment. A different scene appears. A darkened cavern with a ship docked, tied down with many ropes. In the captain's quarters, you see Lilas Marigold, somewhat renowned in these parts. Her olive skin sort of flickering in the firelight, hood deep in crimson color drawn over her head, and streaks of platinum blonde sort of cascading and framing her face. Rowan is seated next to you, in disbelief and confusion. Why would you betray such an offer to us? We haven't anything to offer in return. Lilas kind of raises an eyebrow. Obadiah and all those Confederates? Please. I wouldn't work for them if they held hot irons to my throat. But you? She points to both of you. We could figure something out. She smiles. Turns to you, Rowan turns to you, Clover, and grits his teeth. You'll coordinate with him? Rowan adjourns from the table, leaving you alone with Marigold. Over the next hour and over the next few days, you begin to formulate a plan. The attack will most likely come in the morning. At least that's what the crab tamers tell you, but they've never really been one to associate with surface dwellers. The two sides of the island are separate enough. The stronghold lays on a cliffside. That's where they'll most likely attack. But this hidden alcove will act as an escape point. At least, theoretically, it should. looking over Marigold's assembled crew, you have your reservations about telling them too much about your operations. But they're reliable, and you do end up working out a deal. I need you to roll a persuasion check.
19.
Dang.
Though you are not normally charismatic, in in relation to Lilas, you sort of work an amiable agreement out. She seems to take a liking to your character as you very singularly direct resources and coordinate defenses, train those who are maybe a bit wet behind the ears. You laid down last night confident that whatever happened in the morning you would be prepared for. But these rockets and whatever's at the beach, it's throwing things off immensely. It's disheartening, but as your vision fades, your question is answered. As Rowan kind of looks at you in disbelief.
As a dog runs around.
A few feral dogs cling to the cliffs.
What about us?
What about us?
It turns out they're blink dogs. No. So the options are essentially go down to the beach with Rowan and,
cover the escape of Petunia.
Or
guide
make sure she
Petunia.
escapes.
Yeah.
Right.
As you think on this, Rowan looks to you, Anemone. First Triton to join us. Well, you have no loyalty to us, I suppose. Your Tide Seer dictates almost everything.
You took me in. You accepted me. You let me amongst your number. Of course I have loyalty to you. What is this?
Make an intelligence check. Again with advantage.
Oh, good, because that sucked. 18.
Sure. Your vision fades once more and dissociates and distorts. The sounds of battle fade very quietly into the background. Ba-ba-ba. You're encased in water, floating gingerly, expertly. The longbow is not quite accustomed for underwater combat, and yet the way that you twist the string and pull back and release, all of the crab tamers regard you as somewhat of a surface spirit trapped in the body of the sea. And the Tide Seer knew this. They were wizened, old, crusty, scaly fins that drag along behind them across their feet and fingers. Sort of a lionfish in coloration, spines that sort of drift from the temples and across their body. They called you aside one day. In a wizened and aged voice, primordial, of course, you spoke. They look out across the small coral reef that your home is encased in. What do you think of the surface? They ask in very neutral tones.
Jamie's just like, well, Susie, what do you think of the surface? I want to see it. I want to experience it. I want to be there.
But why? We have seen so much, suffered so much, and now ships of black husk drift across our territories. They shake their head and sigh, looking to you. I have received visions, child. Visions of you above ground, walking amongst a cadre that I knew in my heart, but did not wish to give voice to. The waves call for their master once more. Pelor must be helped. He's Dawn's children. They require you. He rummages about in the coral reef, settled below the both of you. He pulls out a brilliantly colored conch, one that you hold next to your quiver. He closes his eyes for a moment. They open and shine brightly, illuminating this space with brilliant hues of blue and green, red, orange, yellow. The conch glows along with it. He closes his eyes, holds it to his forehead, releases it, and it's at its regular coloration again. They hand it to you, and they smile. It will glow again. This I promise you. When the time is right and the hour desperate.
Oh.
Go to them.
I'll just take it and say thank you. Perhaps
The riders will be in touch. They will tell you where these ships go. You will tell this to them. He smiles very warmly, as he's done for so long. The dream fades. Battle begins to rise again. And once more, a rocket slams into somewhere. Rowan flinches again and sighs. Follow me if you wish.
Rowan said the beach, right?
Rowan will be going to the beach.
Yeah.
You're still on the path.
Okay.
Birch and Petunia have finally sort of stood fully. Petunia looks much better now. Birch a little worse for wear. Their robes very torn and tattered. Leather armor sort of revealed from beneath it.
I'm gonna take hold of the conch and
It is not glowing.
no, I didn't expect it to be glowing, but I'm coming with you, Rowan.
Rowan nods. Looks to you, Clover.
Part of me really wants to fulfill both of these options, but right now we've never seen these weapons before, and we were prepared for this.
We were.
they are a huge threat, and they need to be dealt with. But on the other hand, the head of our organization is here and needs to leave.
He sort of bristles and sighs. My greatest power is not yet spent. I can use it to ensure their passage through the maze. They will come to Calypso's Gale safe and sound, provided you actually fight every once in a while. He looks over to Birch, they've been known as sort of a pacifist sometimes. But Birch kind of perks up and smiles. Hey, I busted you out of prison, didn't I? Rowan smiles and nods. My breath is gone, but not my ability. He sighs heavily and goes to the two of them. Clover, will you be joining us at the beach?
I mean, I've got to flex these muscles every once in a while, don't I? I might as well.
Might as
Might as well do it taking down a ridiculous new weapon. You know, if I'm going to go down in a blaze of glory, well, why not an explosion of glory? Hopefully I don't go down.
Hopefully. From his bag of holding, he produces a wineskin, uncorks it, takes a drink. He throws it to the two of you. At that point, I need you both to make intelligence checks.
Ooh. 16.
14.
All right. And this is with advantage again.
Oh, yeah.
15.
15.
No, I'll take that 16. Because that was
That's
a
16.
1.
Oh, no.
I'm good at
That's no
rolling dice.
good. Right. As the wine passes between the two of you, it fills your chest with a familiar warmth. After Petunia's speech, Clover, you stayed behind. Battle plans needed to be drawn, and you were drinking somewhat heavily. A dog barks in the distance. One of the rangers must be back from scouting the lands, setting the traps that you designed. Nonetheless, battle was coming tomorrow, and it was good to enjoy. Anemone, it took you a while to tear yourself away from the various maps and designs that Clover had. Kind of looked to each other every now and then. Clover, you're still drinking. Anemone, you were just looking over the plans. You don't know who talked first, but it was nice. I need you both to roll, let's see, intelligence checks. Again with advantage.
19.
9.
9 was
Okay.
my low one.
Clover, you sort of described how surfers, as she insisted on calling you, fight. Very hardy people, especially one like you, with such a fantastic greatsword at your side. What do you think was the first real thing that you killed with that sword?
Probably some sort of like wild beast. potentially of the dire variety if I really want to make him seem a badass.
Sure. It was kind of strange. A mishap, one of Honeycomb's various experiments. A dire polar bear ended up on the island, and it was not very happy to be there. Luckily, you relinquished it of worry.
Yeah.
The concept of a polar bear was so foreign to you that it had to be explained in depth, Anemone. But nonetheless, you described that you would have simply swum around it and above it, shooting arrows. And then you realize you're not underwater. It hits you for the first time. You look to your longbow that's strapped across your back, and it's different now. A silence sort of clings to the room. Not uncomfortable, but accepting. We fight or we fall. An unfortunate truism that comes to fruition as you see Rowan standing before the both of you. Arcane symbols drawn beneath Petunia and beneath Birch. Petunia says something. Did Clover ever learn Draconic?
I'm going to go with yes.
And did Anemone ever come across it?
I mean, she might have come across it with, with the Dragonborn. I don't know if she would have, learned it, but she would pick up enough to be able to be like, hey, how's it going? Yeah.
You know the ancient forms of it. Well, most of the ruins that are encased underwater are Draconic. It's sort of like learning High German versus Modern German. But nonetheless, you figure out enough. A few turns of phrase and a few things here and there. Rowan is speaking to Petunia. I've been known for extravagance, but let me be plain and simple. You live, doesn't matter what happens to me. Petunia smirks. Bullshit.
Exactly.
A distant dog barks. Rowan kind of shakes his head. Not this time. His hands sort of clap together and they look to each other one last time. Birch kind of holds on to Petunia as Rowan looks to them. You got me out of Durg Mokduril. Make sure you get her out of here. They both nod. A brilliant crackling of light expands and then collapses suddenly. The runes dissipate and shift with the dirt beneath you, as once more the distant sounds of battle beckon. With that, we'll go ahead and take a bit of a break and be right back.
Thank God. Oh, no, that's the Talavir one. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
The Talavir one, too.
Back in a minute.
We're back. Yes. Yes. All right.
Yeah.
As Rowan stands away from the both of you, we're going to be jumping right in. He looks to the ruins now scattered, sighs a little bit, and clenches his fist around the staff. Right. We take as many of them as we can, give them enough time, and they'll at least escape.
Best case scenario, we take them all out.
Best case. He walks down the path, and as you arrive to the broken bridge, he kind of tilts his head at it, beckons you to both stand close. Fanning his hands out, one of the many rings that he has contained on his finger glows brilliant purple, his eyes matching the hue, as a door pops open and on the other side. He walks through it very gingerly and waves for the both of you to come across.
Yeah, I got her.
You're on the other side of the passage. Looking down, you can finally clearly see the beach. And it is not in good shape. As you make your way across, I need you both to roll perception checks. Rowan will do the same.
An 8.
So that's 13 for you and 12 for you. And that's enough. As you look up, you only see the tail end of the flare that has just arisen. Pretty soon, you hear that dreaded shriek as it comes across the sky and blasts into the cliff above you. I need you both to roll dexterity checks with advantage as Rowan shrieks, "Get down!"
14.
16. Okay. 14 and 16. You both dodge out of the way pretty expertly. Rowan staggers a bit behind. Rocks fall across the both of you. However, he only takes 5 damage, and y'all only take 3.
Nice.
It gives you a light dusting of the marble and the granite contained within these cliffs. It sort of fills his nostrils, and Rowan kind of scratches at them and blows out in a huff. That seems to have been the final straw for him, and therefore his hands sort of crackle with lightning and all forms of like shifting magic, as he almost seems to mentally calculate which spell will kill people the fastest. He cycles through fire, he cycles through this voidish energy that kind of distorts the space around it. And then he stops, clenches his fists. If you don't mind, I'm gonna go on ahead.
After you. More intrigued than anything.
Knocking his fists together, a wave sort of radiates from him and over the both of you, as you suddenly cannot see yourself. Seems he's cast some sort of invisibility. He speaks.
I see.
He speaks to the both of you in Draconic. I will go for the ships. You help our soldiers on the ground as best you can.
Understood.
As he casts this invisibility, light blue sort of sparks trickle across in an arc off the edge of the cliff into the forest below. You do not hear a thud, but instead a gentle landing and footsteps that go away from you. You don't know how long this invisibility lasts, but Well, you're at least hidden, and the battle becomes ever so slightly louder now. What do you do? Sure.
And because I can't see her, I'll say, you find the high ground, pick them off, go for anyone who's wounded.
Your defensive mind, now suddenly thrust into battle, clicks very expertly. I need you to roll an intelligence check, actually.
12.
A 12, okay. You are aware that there is, or was supposed to be, a tower on the beach that was constructed. It was more of a scouting post, but Anemone could probably take up refuge there.
Anemone, there may be a scout tower on the beach.
Emphasis on the may.
On the may, potentially. It's worth a thought if you make it closer to the beach.
All right.
Well, once more onto the beach, dear friends.
Indeed. Going as fast as you can onto the beach, the crowd that is assembled seems to be growing louder and louder. Disparate combatants riding horses, everything that could be coordinated on such short notice. The Dawn's children are giving all they have. But then you see who they're up against. I need y'all to roll history checks with advantage.
18.
18 and natural 20. Though you were able to get off a few pot shots during during your skirmish with the Fire Forged, you're aware, Anemone, at least from what you've gleaned from Clover's information and what the crab tamers sort of have told you, these are not to be messed with. These are Obadiah Bronzehead's peak soldiers. They are some of the most feared within the Confederate League of Dwarven Law Keepers. They are not kind in battle, and that's especially demonstrated as you see them crash against people with a fervor that belays their heavy armor that sort of clings to them, this crag iron substance. With mace, with sword, with every manner of blunt or sharp object possible, they fight with a berserk fervor. And as you look to the ranks, Clover, and making your way onto the beach, you notice there's a contingent that's trying to flank portions of your defenses. Make a perception check. Anemone, make a perception check as well.
19.
19, okay. Anemone, you see at least 6 or 7 figures. You're not entirely sure how many there are. Clover, you're able to tell it is a solid number of 8. There seem to be 5 5 regular soldiers, 1 captain, 1 sort of taller than the rest, and another who seems to be gargantuan. The one who's gargantuan is being led by the one that's less armored, but you don't know for what purpose, at least not at this distance.
Where are they sort of positioned on the beach? Are the rest of them behind the gargantuan one? And is that sort of leading the onslaught, or is that set back?
they're leading the gargantuan one along. It seems that this is sort of a desperate break from around the shore, from into the ocean.
Right.
But what's even more disconcerting is what they are running parallel to. A giant iron ship of magnificent structure that you have not seen before in any battle that you've been a part of. This must be what the crab tamers were describing. And it's very, very, very big. It takes up almost half a league across the shore. And as you look at it in somewhat shocked horror, again, this launch resounds as you see finally a smoke billow forth from its deck and slam once more into one of the crowds of defenders. They scatter and defend themselves as best they can. As this happens, what are you going to do?
Are we still together at this point, or are we split to get our advantage points?
Make perception checks with disadvantage.
Yeah. 13.
13. You're able to see the footprints that Anemone makes in the sand. She seems to be going somewhere. Anemone, at this point, you have noticed that there is a tower. Mm-hmm. It's situated amongst the tree line, camouflaged a little bit, and about 300 to 400 feet from the group that you saw.
Okay. That's within my range, so yeah, I'll head off to the tower and get a good point. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Running as best you can, ascending the tower. I need you to make an acrobatics check just to see. This was made purposefully difficult. Clover was very thorough and made sure to design the tower in such a way that you needed to be nimble to jump into the tower.
Because I'm a great guy, I'm just really good at this kind of thing.
You're really good, like real good. 19, you said?
18.
18. Woo, yeah, you have no issue as you ascend the stairs and ready your bow and draw back the string. Clover, what are you doing?
I'm making a beeline for the big guy.
For the big guy. All right. As this happens, I need you to roll initiative.
Oh, shit. Ooh, okay.
Right.
16 isn't bad. Better
16?
than I normally roll.
Okay, so... let me go ahead and get the fire forged out of the way. Do you draw your blade as you make this beeline towards the?
I do, but
character?
before I actually get down there, I remember I was given a potion, and I want to be going into this fight as healthy as possible, so I'll take it now.
4d6 plus 4 as you slam down this potion. It takes a little bit of finagling as the potion is invisible. But sensorily you're able to sort of figure it out.
11 on the dice plus 4, was it?
11 on the dice plus 4. Okay, so that is 15 to you. Mm-hmm.
From 44, do I gain all of that 15?
Yes, you gain all of that 15.
Cool. So that would be... Yeah. Nice.
That'll be that. All right, so top of the initiative order, 15 to 20. Or 20 to... Or, yeah. Wait, what did y'all roll?
I got 18.
Okay, so 18 plus 6, that's...
24.
20, what?
24.
24. Yeah, you are solidly at the top.
Yeah.
At least. At least until we hear Jamie.
16. So
So 16 plus...
Probably not as much.
Respectable, though. Respectable. 20. So, Clover with 20. Top of the round. We have Anemone situated at the top of the tower, about 200 to 300 feet away, across these what used to be pristine sands, now mottled with blood and viscera. You notch an arrow, and what do you do?
Okay, so I'm doing my Overwatch. I'm looking at the wounded, like, enemy combatants, and then I see Clover running off towards the biggest dude on the battlefield and go, oh, for Pillow's sake, and then aim and go for the big dude.
Yep. All right, go ahead and roll for attack.
Okay, that's an 18, but I have plus 10 to hit, so a 28.
Yes, you do. So, that's you hit the big dude, or which one?
The big dude.
All right.
So that's 1d8 plus 4, so that's 11 piercing for my first attack. Because I have two attacks.
Yes, you have 2 attacks. So, what are we at?
So that was 11 points on the first attack. I'm going to roll to hit him again. 22 to hit.
22 to hit. That does hit, and go ahead and roll damage.
Okay.
So that is how much done?
So that's 11 damage, and now that's 12. So in total, 23.
Okay. Fantastic. Right. Just making sure. And that is piercing, or what kind of damage?
Piercing.
All right. So, okay. So 23, you said?
Yep.
All right. The arrows sink into the flesh of this creature. It roars and bellows with an unholy sort of sickness. Clover, you notice this flesh golem's inside sort of pulse against the roof of its mouth. It swallows very sickly and looks around, trying to see where this arrow came from. Technically, you were supposed to roll those attacks with advantage because you were invisible, but nevertheless, you are now revealed, and the flesh golem scans the tree line and unfortunately notices nothing. Its handler...
That's fortunate.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
I'm sure. The handler sort of looks to it and notices the arrow and is kind of confused, but it can't do anything at this point. As Clover, you run up and do what?
Yeah, right underneath the flesh golem. I'm just going to go for it.
Okay.
Both attacks.
Circling around the group, you draw your greatsword. The illusory magic's dropping from you as quickly as possible. You draw your greatsword and...
a 17 and an 18.
All right, both of them hit. Go ahead and roll for damage.
Did I get advantage on those as well from being invisible?
Technically, so go ahead and fish
Just
for that
in
20.
Case.
Or no, fish for that 19. As
that was close.
Yeah.
Oh, well, one's a 20 and one's a 16.
Hey,
so I do.
So you do crit.
Nice. Okay, cool. So what did we say it was? It's 2d6. So first attack, I'll do. So that's 10 on the dice. So that'd be 20 plus 5. So 25 on the first hit.
Okay.
So damage on the second one. It's going to be a 10 again with the plus 5, so that'd be a 15.
So 15. Wow. Okay. It still stands firm, but as these great sword strikes dig into the flesh of this wretched creature. It howls and reviles in pain. Its insides and stitches kind of falling open, revealing more rotted and decomposing flesh. It looks to you, one eye sort of bluish in hue, and the other a sickly yellow, both sort of settled on you, mouth lulled open.
Do we have boots on the ground as well? There are sort of allied troops around us.
There are a few. They're about 60 to 80 feet away from you. They're currently trying to hold the line as best they can. This was an unexpected flank.
Well, in that case, I'm going to action surge and just shout out something along the lines of like, rally with me, band together, hold the line, and then take the other two swings. Basically, I've arrived on the battlefield. I'm showing off, improve morale is the aim.
Make a charisma check with advantage.
Okay. 16.
And take your 2 attacks
Mm-hmm.
against the flesh golem.
7 on the dice. And a 19.
Believe it or not, that crits, and the 7 on the dice plus what again?
9. So
Yeah, believe it or not, flesh golems really, really hard to miss.
I'll do the same again, so the crit first.
Sure.
Not as good. So that's...
I would hope not.
That's just going to be a 10 on the die, so
Okay.
that's going to be 15.
Okay.
And then second one is 6 plus 5, so 11.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. This was the easiest how do you want to do this I've come across. So 2 arrows and 4 strikes from a greatsword as Clover cleaves into this dread creature. What do you do?
As I do it, I probably was doing the sort of rallying call as I was doing it. So, then covered in flesh golem ichor, just look at its handler, sword in hand.
All right. The as you basically chop this guy up like fine cilantro, he falls in sort of a dissociated pattern of like random bits from flesh and other all manner of unholiness.
Mm-hmm.
And the handler looks to you in just fear and astonishment as you dissect this creature so thoroughly. The rallying cry is received very well as you hear a couple of your fellow soldiers cheer, but they seem to be quite locked in their current circumstance. So
it's fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. It's they've got a bit going on, you know. So that's the flesh golem removed from the initiative order. Wow, yeah, good job. I have to admit, good job on that. But what you have neglected to see are the 5 thugs that are now gathered around you, Clover. Yeah, they're going to go to town on you, or at least try to. Pack tactics. So let's see. That's
Oh shit! Rest in pieces.
I did a cool thing. I'm okay with dying.
For the
I
first
wasn't
one,
thinking of making it out of this fight.
that is going to be for the first of attack of 10. That is going to be 24 to hit, or 23. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does, in fact, hit.
With this mace sort of bared at you, this fire-forged dwarf swings havoc onto your legs. The first strike gets you for 5 bludgeoning damage. The second strike, unfortunately, does not connect as it kind of just wildly whacks at you. The next dwarf rolls a natural 20 for its first attack.
Bring it.
That's going to be 10 points of bludgeoning damage straight to your jaw as you feel it kind of become repulsed from the metal. The third one now taking its attack. That will be 13 plus 4. I think that's 17. 17 to hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another 5 bludgeoning damage to you. Its second attack does not connect, unfortunately, as you are sort of steeling yourself against the battlements. That's 3 that have gone with 2 attacks each. The other 2 kind of scan the tree line looking for you. Unfortunately, one of them indeed does seem to look to the tower very quizzically and pull out a heavy crossbow from behind it.
Yeah.
It settles and stills its shot and calls to its friend, who does the same. That's going to be a 10 to hit for the first one.
Mm-mm.
It's unfortunately a very sorry display for the first one. 15 to hit for the second one.
That is my AC, so I think that hits.
Yes, unfortunately. A stray bolt does streak past your face as you feel 5 points of piercing damage slowly drain away.
Ow, the pain.
After the thugs, the handler sort of looks to you, and even though it is robbed of its creation, it stands firm for about half a second and then bolts away from you as quickly as possible. This does invoke an attack of opportunity if you are interested.
Oh, and it gets one. Of
course, of course.
16 plus 9, so
16 plus 9.
A lot.
Yeah, that'll work.
So that's 9 points of damage.
9 points of damage. You carve into the back of this this handler, and he sort of limps away very fervently as he takes position, his full movement away from you, pulls out a longbow and turns, releasing one shot desperately. Unfortunately, it goes clear over your head and you feel nothing. The captain now steps up to the plate, his iron a little bit hardier and his resolve a bit more stern as he takes a swing at you. That's going to be a 21 to hit.
Yeah.
And a 17 to hit.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so total, this is going to hurt. That's going to be 14 points of slashing damage as he unsheathes his sword and carves into you with but one hand.
I don't like him.
Top of the round, Anemone, you have the floor. What do you do?
Okay, so I'm gonna shoot at the guy that just hit me. Because I'm not a petty being.
Sure.
18 to hit.
18 to hit, that hits. Go ahead and roll for damage.
7 piercing damage on the first one. And I'll shoot him again. That's a natural 20.
That definitely hits. Go ahead and roll for damage.
So I rolled 5, double that to 10, 14.
Okay. It sinks sort of. He sort of yells at you, and you use this as an opportunity to shove an arrow into his mouth. It severs and sort of comes out to about the ear area, and he howls in pain. That is your first and second attack, right?
Yeah.
So the second bolt just hits him square in the chest and pierces through the armor. He sort of shivers and shakes and drops the crossbow. You're very good at making him drop the crossbow.
Yeah, apparently. It's a skill.
What else do you do?
Is there anywhere I could, like, duck behind cover on this tower, or even just going like back down the stairs a little bit?
There is a small wall there that you can sort of hide behind.
Yeah. So I'll duck and hide behind that.
Okay. At that point, Jamie, what are you doing?
The captain single-handedly did, in terms of damage, more than the rest of them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it's his turn, but before I do that, I'm going to use my second wind, because that round hurt.
Yeah,
so that's a D10 plus fighter
it's
level.
It's almost like you jumped in the middle of a crowd or something.
Yeah. I mean, the way it was geared up, it's like, we didn't intend to leave.
Yeah.
Which is a good... Max on a heal. So that's 19 points back.
Hey! So, even though the wounds sort of scar your skin, you find that extra bit of resolve and bristle against all of what's happened to you.
And then I'm going to take my 2 against the captain.
Sure, go ahead.
First one's a 12, and the second one is an 18.
12
one away
plus,
from crit.
12
plus 9.
So, okay, yep, nope, that both will hit.
Yeah, cool. So that's going to be... Ooh, haha, that's nice. 16 points for one.
Uh-huh.
And then... then 12 for the second one.
Fuck. Yeah. How do you want to do that?
Yeah.
The captain as well.
He was not that healthy, shall we say. He had just been through a battle leading his men, and you just did how many points of damage? 32 or something like that?
I don't know. I'm just
too much. Enough. You've done enough. So
I'd like to think he was kind of behind me. So I just sort of, with the first one, just drag the greatsword up and catch him. And I just ride the momentum and just pivot and then just cleave his head off on the backswing.
Yeah. It's a little bit harder. There are sparks that fly as you hit across the armor. The momentum actually tears it open as a streak of crimson comes across it. You then pivot and, like you said, separate head from shoulders. The other thugs around you sort of shake a little bit, but they're still there for whatever reason.
I just growl. I'm ready for this.
At that point,
like inside, I'm like, oh shit! I didn't realize this was gonna happen. Oh shit! Outside,
a couple of them actually take a few steps back as they try to get away with you. The 3 that immediately surround you take a step back. Is that an attack of opportunity for each one, or is that?
If they leave melee range, then yes.
If they take a 5-foot step backwards.
Oh yeah, it's one reaction. So one you can
only
take
one
a swing
of
at
them
one.
Can hit. I can get hit.
Yep. You can
I will happily do that.
Sure.
14 plus 9.
14 plus 9.
23.
Okay. Yeah, that's enough.
4 plus 3. 7 plus 5. 12. Yeah, 12 points of damage.
Okay, yeah. So you sort of slice across the aorta of one of these poor dwarven soldiers. A gout of blood sort of pushes out as he grasps at his neck and staggers away from you. They are immediately worse for wear. But is that your turn?
Yeah, that is everything I can do.
Okay. Oh boy.
This champion is living up to his title.
Right?
No kidding. Collapsing back, they sort of regather themselves and go in close proximity to each other. Even though you are close, they will still unsheath their heavy crossbows and just take pot shots these would be with disadvantage because of the range. However, since they're so close together, they get advantage. So it's just a straight roll.
Right.
That's a nat 1 for the first one. The one that you shot with, or the one that you severed the aorta of, is just a little bit
He's
off.
slightly distracted for some unknown
Slightly
reason.
distracted, unfortunately. So he sort of just shoots at your feet, finding nothing but sand. The second one seems to be a bit more in tune with the flow of the battle. That's going to be 17 to hit.
Yeah, hits.
5 points of piercing damage as you feel a bolt bury itself into your gut. The next one, unfortunately, is like his friend and kind of shaking, shivering, and just sort of blindly takes a shot. The two that were focused on you, seeing you sort of duck behind a wall, that probably gives about 3/4 cover. They kind of growl to themselves and turn to you once more. And one of them rolls a 16. I think that's your armor class.
That is my armor class.
Okay, so one does get another 5 points as it slams into your sternum again. It's not that fun. The blood loss is kind of getting to you, the kind of a headiness, but you figure you're fine-ish.
Yeah.
Until of course you see the scout. Looking at its situation, he kind of, the handler, he kind of fumbles around with some sort of device in his pocket, clicks it back, and unfortunately, as he goes to click back this sort of flare gun, it severs the barrel completely, and he just sort of stares in wide-eyed wonder as he looks to you in terror.
There's a madman smile on my face right now.
Yeah, indeed. Top of the initiative order, your attention is drawn away for momentarily as you notice on the bridge of that ship, there seems to be a crackle of blue light that emanates and disperses. A boarding party has seemed to make their way onto the ship.
Oh.
Led by none other than a red dragonborn.
Yeah.
With a few they tear through the decks as best they can, though they are meeting heavy resistance. You hear roaring and laughing from Rowan as he just lets loose a salvo of spells that almost surprises you. Almost. Anemone, gonna need a perception check for you, please.
Oh shit. 18.
Okay.
But with my bonus, that would be 24.
Okay. The conch seems to be sort of rattling against your spine as you hide and rattling against the wall. It seems to be heating up as well. It's a very unpleasant sensation, but not unbearable, especially with the adrenaline pumping from the battle.
Okay. Is it glowing?
It is not glowing just yet.
Okay.
So what are you doing?
Pop back out then, I guess, because I'm waiting for the glow. And I will finish off the dude who I shot in the face.
Okay, go ahead and roll for attack. At least with one attack.
25 to hit.
Yeah, that hits. Go ahead and roll.
Oh. 5 piercing damage.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah!
It as you sort of see him try to wrestle the arrow from him, his back is to you, and you plant it right in the middle of the back of his skull. Even though air works differently, you're glad you got your practice in earlier.
Yeah.
So that's one attack.
And then I'll shoot at one of the guys that's hassling Clover.
Okay, go ahead and... the injured one, or who?
The injured one.
Sure. Of course the injured.
25
Who
to
else?
hit.
That's it.
Give me plus 10, man. I'm pretty much always
Yeah.
gonna hit.
Yeah. No. I'm not. I'm marvelously happy.
7 piercing damage.
You see, he sort of gives you a nice little guide to put the arrow as he tries to solder the wound or at least keep it closed. As his hands part, you sink the arrow into his neck, and he falls forward, dead.
Nice. And then I hide again.
Yep. Go ahead and roll for stealth. Why not? So that's you, Jamie. What you doing?
It was a 14 on the dice.
Okay, so the 14 on the dice, that's going to be... Oh, yeah, that's going to be a 20, so you're good.
Oh, sick.
So how many are around me now, then?
Let's see. 1 just fell, 2 just fell, so that's 3 in total. 1 that was focused on Anemone, and 2 that were focused on you, as well as the scout.
I'm just going to stick with the 2 that were focused on me, and they get 1 each.
Okay.
So the first one is going to be a 19 on the dice.
That's a crit as well, so go ahead and roll for damage.
Well, it's low damage, so it's 6 plus 5. 11 for the crit.
Okay.
I've done better. And the second attack is going to be a natural 20.
Jesus Christ.
So also a crit. I've never rolled so many crits in one game.
Congrats. So that is 11 points of damage for the first one?
For the first one. For the first, for one guy got 11. The second guy is getting this one. So that's still low for the dice.
Right.
4 in total with the plus 5. So 9 points to this one.
9 points.
Yeah.
You're sure you're doing that right? 9, double the dice and then add the modifier?
Well, it's 2d6 plus 5, and
yes.
I rolled 4 on the dice.
Oh, you rolled 4. I thought. Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm saying. Like, I've been rolling low on those last couple of rolls for the damage.
Listen, I don't want to rob you of the ability to kill these people. These Fireforged who apparently, yeah, it's not their day. They should not have attempted this flank, as they now suddenly realize. So, with that, is that your turn, or
that is
what
my
you
turn?
doing?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's just going to be my turn. I can't do anything for now.
Good God. That's just, this is sick, but I love
Honestly,
it.
I've never critted so much in one game, and being a champion, you get, you've just doubled the chance of getting a crit.
Oh yeah, no, I know what I've done. I created these characters.
Yeah, this is all on you.
Yeah, I love it. So that's 2 thugs now in immediate range with you. They will go ahead and take swings with their short sword, or excuse me, their maces. Short swords. That will be a 11 to hit. Still an 11, so that's 1 attack. Then a 17.
Yeah, 17 hits.
5 points of bludgeoning damage go to you as one swings at you twice with this mace. The other, that's going to be a 22 to hit.
Yep.
For their first attack, so that's going to be 5 points to you. Their second attack rolls in with another 5, so 15 in total should be to you.
My AC is 16.
Yes. They roll with advantage because they are in such close proximity to each other.
Yeah.
So that's... Nope. Unfortunately, that's 15 points, my dude.
Oh, that was 15 points. I thought you said that was 15 to hit.
No. 15 points
right, okay.
Total damage to you.
Right. So I've been taking it off at a time. So that's 1 more, minus 5, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Just try to keep track of it in my head.
Sure, no worries. So, that's the 2 focused on you. The one that shot the heavy crossbow will reload and keeping his distance, fire. Unfortunately, the distance is so skewy that this will be with a disadvantage, and since he has no friends around him, this is just straight disadvantage. It goes clear over your head, sinks into the sand a few 100 feet off. So that's the 3 that are still alive. And then there is the handler. With the broken flare gun sort of clasped in their hand, they kind of look to you very fearfully and just bolt around the way they came. Just using their full movement to get away, get far away from you. He seems to be the only one with a functioning brain. So that's the handler removed from the initiative order. Top of the round, the shifting of the battle seems to be intense. Your morale boost was quite welcome as you see various gnomes, humans, dragonborn, tiefling, every manner of color, creed, and race hammering against the Fireforged as best they can. Just wow. They break through the lines of the Fireforged and actually begin to gain some ground based off of your heroics. It's still heavy fighting. There is still much to be done, but they are invigorated by this gruesome display of absolute evisceration. At the top of the round, Anemone, the conch still rattles and bolsters against you, and the warmth turns to a bit of light, though it is not glowing as brilliantly as it was.
God damn it. It's not ready yet. Shit.
It's not.
I have an idea for what it can do, and I really hope it's the thing I'm thinking of is what it does.
Right.
Sure.
I'm not going to say just in case I jinx it, but damn it, could be good.
Good luck.
So I'm just like, come on. And then I'll just shoot one of the nerds with the crossbows.
Yeah, go ahead and roll for one attack. There's only one nerd left with the crossbow.
Okay, I will shoot that.
And I believe he's taken no damage. Surprisingly.
Well, I got a 19 and I crit on a 19?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you do. Note to self, champions are OP.
That's 14 piercing damage on the first attack.
Jesus Christ.
And 18 to hit on the second.
Which hits, of course.
That's 12 on the second.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You just plan it. As you let loose this one arrow, it shrieks and he turns around, unfortunately catching an arrow into the eye socket. The other one as well sinks into the eye socket. It is not fun. He just falls back. Dead. Just dead.
Tight.
Yeah.
Has taken no damage. Dead.
Dead.
It's
Nothing
fine.
more to see here. It's fine. We're good. Yeah. Clover?
So there's still two nerds near me.
There is still
Because
two
I
nerds.
dished out the... Yeah, I'm going to do the same that I did last time, one for each.
Sure.
So the first one is going to be 19 not on the dice. That's the total.
That still hits. Go ahead and roll.
Yeah. So the damage for that's going to be 7. It's the lowest I can get.
The lowest.
The
Yeah.
lowest damage I can get. Second guy is going to get a 16.
Yes, that
Will that
just
hit?
hits. Just hits.
And that's going to be 10 points of damage.
All right. They're a little bit more hardy than their flesh golem compatriot, but they are taking a beating. Their crag iron mace is sort of hammering against you, parrying as best they can. But they seem to be a little bit more untrained than you would expect, and instead just resort to the tried and true method of hammering and hacking at you. The first strike for the first one misses. Second strike for the first also misses. Here comes the third strike. Hopefully, even with advantage, unfortunately, only one gets through, and that is a natural 20. So they descend upon you and start beating you, and one lucky swing clocks you on the back of the head for 10 damage. How you looking there, champ?
9.
Oh shit!
Yeah, not the best, I suppose,
Nope.
at this point. So, you actually see this anemone from your vantage point. The handler should have gotten a shot off on you. Never mind.
Yeah. I have literally. I can take one more hit, but because they're doing 5 each time, I can't take 2 hits.
Yeah. All right. So, anemone, you actually peek out from your hiding spot and see Clover is just being beat on. Like, it's not even fair. Like, the two have sort of been on opposite sides of him and just start hacking away with their maces. The battle on the beach seems to be progressing all right. The gained ground, unfortunately, was not enough to hold, as you see a couple of soldiers, Clover, look to you and notice that, oh, you're not doing so well. Additionally, aboard the ship, you notice a couple of, good lord, rockets being sounded off and fired. Landing aboard the deck of the ship, something you might not have expected to see, but completely decimating everyone in view, minus again the lone dragonborn, which stands resolutely, or as resolutely as possible, and snarls at the encroaching invaders that surround him. Whew. Top of the round, Anemone. What are you doing?
What's the conch status? Oh, come on!
Almost there.
Come on! Okay, then. Seeing Clover being surrounded and wailed on, I'll try and help him as best I can.
You've also got an action surge.
Oh shit, I have action surge! Fuck, I'm a fighter. I don't play fighters!
This could have been over 3 rounds ago. What the hell are you doing?
So, my first 2 attacks at
Sure.
the dudes around Clover, that was a 19, so that's a crit.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
the first damage is 20 piercing damage.
Okay.
That's on the first attack.
Okay.
Second attack was another 19.
You might not need the action surge this round.
Tragically,
you
only
might not.
6 damage on that one. I rolled a 1.
Oh, tragic. Gloom, despair, and agony. How do you want to do this as you kill both of them simultaneously?
I just want to be like, pew, pew, just really quick so they both go down almost like simultaneously, just be like...
Yeah, for Clover, it disorients you for a minute, because one minute you're being battered on all sides, slightly concussed from the blow on the back of the head, and then you're left alone. You look and see 2 arrows stuck in the ears of both, one in one ear, the other in the other. The battle is still continuing. You are left alone behind your own lines. Anemone, what do you want to do?
Is there anyone else near Clover that's going to kick the shit out of him?
Not yet, at the very least, no.
Okay. Yeah, I'll save my action surge until Yeah, so that's me.
Okay.
Unless the conch is now glowing bright and wonderful.
Speak of the devil. It is. Clover, you seem to be completely alone on the beach, clutching your greatsword as best you can. The fight ahead of you, very, very long.
Mm-hmm.
And very, very unwelcoming. You see aboard the ship, Rowan is just tearing through as many people as he can. It's not a pretty sight.
No. Yeah, for my turn, I'm gonna need a slight breather. But how is the handler still like?
Oh no, he's
thinking
gone.
about it, or is he gone?
He is gone. Like he has seen the most powerful creature that he has. He's seen it be eviscerated in less than a turn.
In that case, I'm gonna do the adventurer's payday and loot the bodies, in just any hope that there's something that's gonna make me not be as squishy.
Roll an
Doubtful,
investigation check.
because if they had one, I imagine they'd used anything. But you
Yeah.
never know. 18.
It seems that the captain had one such politis. But if you remember correctly, you killed him in one round. So
That's
you
true.
didn't exactly have any cause to use it. Anemone,
that
you
makes me
see
feel better.
Clover sort of celebrate as he pulls out a politis and pops it open, and I'm assuming just slam that down.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah.
Yeah.
Quietly from
You're-
atop my tower, I go chug, 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 chug. Down it,
Again.
pressure!
46 plus 4. And then you, Anemone, you feel the conch glowing against your back with a warm intensity that betrays its white-hot appearance.
Okay.
That was 18 back on that.
Oh shit.
A two 5s and a 6. Oh, wait, plus 4 as
Plus
well,
4.
was it?
Yes.
Oh, shit, that's another plus 4.
Hey, good job.
I'm on 31.
Yeah.
Good job. So, what do you do, Anemone?
Okay, pull it out. What is this conch like? Is it just like a shell, or is it adapted so it looks like it's like a little horn, or is it?
It looks like a shell. It kind of you make an investigation check.
17.
Okay. You sort of recognize it. Make an intelligence check.
Oh, 17.
With, or no, yeah. Okay. It doesn't look like it's hollowed out to be a horn, but you also know that from lessons that you received from the Tide Seer, there is a way to blow on a conch without it being a horn. And indeed, you do know a way to produce sound, very boisterous sound, if necessary. But, well, there is one caveat. You learned it underwater.
Oh.
You're not sure if it works on land.
Okay.
But again, you are on a beach, and you're not in want of water. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll say.
Okay, then well, if it's my turn, I'll be like, shit, and then just jump down off my tower and run off to the shore.
Okay. So, jumping off of the tower, I need you to roll an acrobatics check.
10. So plus
18.
18. Woohoo!
Yeah. 18. You stumble onto the beach, roll, and bolt toward the beach. Or bolt across the beach, assumedly going to water?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, as you continue to run and run as hard as you can, Clover, it's kind of strange. It seems that Anemone is just running towards the water. You don't know exactly why. But there is a glowing object in her hands that catches your eye, we'll say. What do you do?
So it's my turn now.
Yep.
Well, now that I've had a little bit of a breather, I'm going to run to the water's edge as well. Because if she has a reason to be running down there, onto the beach as opposed to an vantage point that benefits a bow. It's going to interest me as well, so I'm going to follow down.
All right. So, running down to the shore, you sort of crash into each other, and what do you say?
Did you see that? Never mind. What's that in your hand?
There's a room path. Get from taxi, I'm gonna put the water.
You dive into the sea. She sort of you accidentally mix a bit of primordial in it, which Clover, unfortunately, you didn't really learn that. But you understand that there's something that Anemone needs to do as she dives headfirst into the water. It's a bit shallow. The armor sort of clings and clambers against your skin, but nevertheless, Anemone, I need you to roll an athletics check.
Athletics. That's a 14.
Okay. Diving in as best you can. The motion of the waves is familiar to you as you crash against it, dip below, and continue to dive even further as you continue this mad swimming dash. Do you take just your full movement to go out to sea?
Yeah, to get like as far out as I can, and then once it's like, it's dipped off a bit and it's not like I could stand up and I'm still like out of the water, I'll just Yeah. That unfortunately requires your full movement, and since you don't have an action surge, as I recall. No, I do. I didn't spend it.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity to use it.
Yep.
Make a performance check.
Performance. 18.
With a performance of 19, a shockwave emanates from the conch and rattles the boat. Clover, on the surface, you see the boat swing from side to side. It's jarring at once. A loud and cacophonous, torturous noise emanates and fades. Silence for a time. Stillness. But then, from underneath the sand of these shores, you see, Anemone, your brothers and sisters, their hands firmly clasped on the stalk-like eyes of dire crabs. They begin to scuttle and shuffle off their sand and step diligently onto the land. It's impressive. A few of them splinter off and actually begin to surround the ship. Clover, you feel a rumbling underneath your feet, and I need you to roll a dexterity saving throw.
That was a 5 on the dice. However, I can re-roll a failed, can't I? If
you can re-roll a fail saved once a day.
Did a 5 fail? I'm assuming. I'm not the most dexterous.
Definitely failed.
Right, okay. So with a re-roll, it's a natural 20.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Oh, I'm not even joking. Like, I don't even know what's happened today. I've used different dice every time as well. That's the weird thing.
All right. Well, you lose your footing momentarily and then skip back as the craggy surface of the sand begins to break. A triton seems to be laying on top of the back of a crab. It lifts you up a little bit, but you land on your feet expertly, avoiding the snipping and snapping claws. The Fireforged on the other side of the beach are not so lucky, and you see as at least 3 dire crabs burst forth from the sand, their claws snipping in half, thug upon thug. as they tear through the crowd. Your soldiers, in sort of bemusement and wonder, look back to you, wide-eyed and confused.
I just raise the greatsword and cheer. Just try and get a cheer going.
They definitely cheer and fight even harder. Anemone, you witness as on the sides of the ship, the crabs tear into the crag iron hull of this magnificent warship and rip it apart, piece by piece. Some of the crabs seem to be a little bit famished and actually begin to eat the ship as it descends into the sea. Rowan quickly realizes his circumstances, draws a teleportation circle, wipes it away, knowing that he does not have that time, snaps his fingers and raises a door, a dimension door, that he steps into and lands underwater. He takes a wild look around and sees you with this bright glowing conch. Very, very confusedly. But he's thankful nonetheless.
The entire time I'm just like...
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, as all of this occurs, Anemone, what do you do?
Okay, I'll help drag Rowan out so he's not drowning. Because, drag bonds probably aren't known for swimming.
But you are.
Yes! So I just...
So, you get him to the surface of the water, and as you break the surface, he kind of bobs and looks to you, wordlessly asking, what the fuck?
I'm just like, I don't fucking know, dude. Had this shell. I don't know. But I'm also like, yeah!
All right. The Triton next to you, Clover, kind of tilts his head and speaks in common, very broken. Tideseer told us to wait for call. Call came. We are yours to command.
From that, then I just say, then, with me, brother, and runs towards the rest of the fight. And sort of
he does not
follow.
understand the terminology, but is thankful that he can command his beast.
Brothers
forward.
in arms. Like, at this point, I'm very open to just throwing out, like, dude, everyone on my side right now is family.
Yeah.
Like,
you like battle
everyone.
drink, you're like, I love you so much.
yeah. Let's go kill something.
The crab scuttles along with you, sweeping the sand under its legs. This continues for about maybe 30 minutes. The fight is sorely uneven, though I would like both of you to make strength checks, just for shits and giggles. Athletics, why not?
3?
All right.
I'm not kidding.
Jamie.
Okay. No. It's a natural 20. I am not kidding.
Anemone, the performance took a bit out of you, unfortunately, and you groggily sort of make your way to the beach. One of the crab tamers actually grabs onto you and pulls you onto the back of this dire crab,
Yes!
allowing you a moment's respite. Speaks to you in primordial and said, I was here because the seer told us to wait for a signal. He's speechless. The machinations of the seer finally coming to fruition.
Yeah, I just kind of am like, same. Same.
He kind of locks arms with you as you ride along this giant crab.
This is so fucking cool.
Clover, however, you tear through the line like a madman, slicing down almost with 2 strikes each. Enemy after enemy after enemy. Behind you is a motley crew of crab tamers and Dawn's children, just waiting to get in on the action now that victory is in sight. Again, 30 minutes pass. of glorious, wonderful battle. And slowly, the sounds of battle fade. From the billowing, smoking remains of the warship, you stand on the beach, victorious. From the western side of the island, cresting forward with brilliant white sails, trimmed with gold. Clover, I need you to make an intelligence check.
14.
Calypso's gale sails into view. Raucous laughter and cheers erupt from your soldiers as you hear cannonade and pistol shot ring from the ship in celebration with you. The crab tamers, a bit confused by their predicament, look to you, Anemone, strangely silent during the whole ordeal. But nevertheless, after a few seconds, they smile and raise and rattle their spears in solidarity. On the bridge of the ship, you see Petunia and Birch settled next to each other, arms raised, fists up. Petunia opens her mouth to speak, and the words wash across your senses, filling you with warmth, with happiness, with relief. The smile that creeps across your faces, the joy, the victory, it fades. It's like, not diminished, but given back to the storyteller. As he smiles, he looks to you. A snap of the fingers wakes you both up. You're back in the shop. You're a bit worse for wear, but relieved and happy. The storyteller smiles. Another pair of satisfied customers. With the disintegration of most forms of entertainment, generally due to their archaic structure, it seems that there was another, more immersive form, sprung from virtual reality, that came to fill the void that Hollywood and other film industries left behind. Various researchers have attempted to craft such immersive experiences, but none have been as successful in the post-Pulse era as QLO. Two satisfied customers wandered in and experienced a story where they were truly champions. From there, world is what you make of it. And the story ends there. Great job, guys.
Holy shit, dude. That was great.
Sorry,
I was kind of intentionally making this last fight the last hurrah for this character.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden that just didn't happen.
Oh, dude, that was awesome. I was a Triad. I've never been a Triad. That was fucking rad.
Yeah.
Oh man. And these dice were on my side tonight.
Consecrate those dice, I swear.
I'm gonna. Jesus.
Thank you all for coming out. We appreciate your patronage and your presence. And we'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.